Can you hear me? Trying to turn you up. Hold on. Why won't it let me enlarge you? Oh, hold on. Maybe later? Limited edition snow sighting. Oh, oh, we're doing snow themed this week. Gotcha. I see what it did. Okay. Why is it so hard to hear you?
For our viewing and listening audience. What? Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
Check this headspace.
And now we have visuals. Okay. Oh,
Bada bing, bada. Oh, ho, stop. Time out. Time out. Okay, hit start recording on my little button here.
oh, I had it. Okay.
I'm glad you got the intro though. The non-intro
The
intro we got right now.
Yeah, the non-intro.
Team 4. I have not worked on any of the illustration as of yet. Mad slacking. I'm sorry. I'll get there.
We got this. We got this. So far so good on the audio, by the way, as far as like gain levels doing their thing the right times at the right place. Kind of
Okay. All right. Seems legit.
Yeah, we're gonna see how it works. Last week's audio towards the end, guys, I do apologize. I don't apologize for the audio at the end. I apologize for the audio at the beginning. We tweaked it in the middle, and it was a lot better. Like I was able to figure out some things. So it's a learning thing. It's a learning curve. Steve and I were talking about it earlier. But
yeah, I think honestly, not to pat ourselves on the back or anything, but we jumped into this really fast. Like we were like, hey, podcast, that could be cool. All right, go. No, like our planning period was an extremely short amount of time, and you and I, for those who don't know us well, we both really like to learn by experience. And if these first 40 episodes don't go anywhere, or first 5 or whatever, we don't care. Our goal is to provide you with the best product at the end. And we're not going to count on other people outside the pair of us to get it done. We're producing the podcast. We're having a really good time doing it. We hope you are listening and enjoying it too. So welcome to Real Talk Vlogs.
Where we cut all the shit out.
No, we don't. No, there is zero cutting. Oh dude, look, I'm like a magician. Audi in the background.
Oh.
For anybody listening on the non-visual podcast source, we are playing around with backgrounds, just because it's getting close to cold. We've seen snow, so it's quattro weather, and we both have some goofy old icy looking backgrounds.
First off, mine's got a pencil out of the middle of a tree. I'm not a tree, like a mountain, and I don't quite understand. Is that like a number 2 pencil or a number 40 pencil? Like to go on the side of a mountain and be visual.
I don't know what happened there either, bud. I was trying to go with quattro weather, but I got like a little cow shaped thing with coffee. I don't know what that is.
I don't know. It looks like a pig that's standing upright.
Yeah, it's a pig wearing a corncob crown, drinking a cup of coffee. That's blue pig.
Birds-ish. Have you ever seen Angry Birds the movie?
I have not. I don't have children.
You have Netflix though.
Still no children.
Doesn't give you an excuse, cause
why do I need to watch Angry Birds, a movie about a video game that was available on phones only?
Fair enough. No. Rewind. So you know that little Xbox thing that we had? Xbox, that little 16-bit, 8-bit reinvent the Nintendo thing I brought with me?
Our PRI game system.
Yeah, our PRI game system. It has a version of Angry Birds on it on the 256 in one.
For those in listening land, Steve is giving the I don't give a shit face right now.
So real talk vlog. Where the freak have you seen snow? Because I haven't seen any snow.
Bro, it like flurried in Indy while we were there, running around on scooters. We were commenting about the snow while we were on.
I missed that. I only got smoked in the face with a bunch of rain. I missed the flurries.
Oh, bro. Okay, well, I've seen snow. I mean, it was like 3 flakes. Let's be clear, but that's Quattro weather. Period. Okay, I'm excited. All right.
Here in Missouri, the extent of snow that I have seen is like what I believe may or may not have been specks on the windshield. But by the time they hit the windshield, they weren't raindrops.
Yeah.
Like they were a little bit more dense than a raindrop, but when it hit the windshield, it was like a poof. Like here's some moisture. So I'm like I don't know if it was snow or spit, but it was a
Oh. The car in front of you is angry coffee.
No, it might have been the wipers. You ever have those people who like spray the wiper nozzles straight up?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I used to know a guy who would do that on his demo cars at the dealership just to mess with people.
Nice. We
So
go ahead. I was gonna lead into our discussion.
okay, well
I'll let you
follow that up with one thing. Since we don't do an intro, we should probably tell the people out there who we are. Since we're going to the flipbook method.
We already told them welcome to Real Talk Vlogs. What more do they need?
My name's Jack.
Hey guys. That's Jack. I'm Steve. This is Real Talk Vlogs. Welcome.
We don't take corporate sponsorship money yet.
Sponsorship money is available. We need to find who's got it. We would like to earn some of it. And that's not going to get you anything because we don't sell out for nothing.
No.
But you can give us the money.
Yeah, we're still going to give our real opinions on anything that we do, any collaborations.
Yeah.
I just want to clear the air because
our air is clear. It's frosty clear. Don't you see our backgrounds? Duh.
For sure.
All right. How was your week, bud? Fill us in on the life of Jack. Second week of December, 2021.
It's been a roller coaster. I go from like last Wednesday to today?
Okay, yeah.
All right. So in the personal life, life sometimes is hard, and we all have our demons. And my son is dealing with one. It is one of those things. So that's stressful on itself. I've been working on my transmission for a week and can't get my transmission guy back to rebuild it. And you and I were talking about this off the phone a little bit, like relying on people that say they're going to do things at a certain time. Like that is a big, like, it's a waste of my time and money when I'm there to do something and then people aren't there to say, hey there.
And the worst part of it is you and I tend to be both very, very flexible people.
I feel like
right?
I am.
And so a lot of times, if somebody can't get somewhere at a certain time for whatever reason, if they call and be like, yo, Jack, I'm running behind. I need to do this thing. It's come up in my life. I'm sorry. You're going to be like, all right, man, this sucks, but I'll readjust. Whereas other times when you're like, they're supposed to be here an hour and a half ago, and that's time lost. Period.
Yeah. I mean, here, I don't even think my time is worth a lot of money. What I charge my time is valued at is $85 an hour.
Yes, he's accurate. I have paid the money. Okay, it's worth it, but
I mean, but I think that's still cheap. Like at the same time, there's people out there who are like $200-$300, $1,000, $5 and $6.
Legit, with the way markets and such are going right now, $85 an hour should pretty essentially be considered the friend rate. If you've got all your own tools, you have all the diagnostic stuff, like $85 an hour is really smashing down your return. So if you're able to do that, more power to you, man. Like props. Because there's a lot of folks out there that need affordable labor on stuff they don't know about. So anybody in the Missouri tri-state area, visit Jack. Anyway.
Come visit me over at SPR Industries. I got you on your Volkswagens, your Audis, any of your VAG cars, Porsche, Lamborghini. It doesn't matter. As long as it's in the VAG community. Don't bring that BMW crap to me. I hate it. I won't work on it. Just being honest.
Okay, fair.
So, you can find me you can find SPR Industries on Facebook, message me through there, or DM me on Rowdy Audi, and we'll get worked out. On a side note though, so you and I came off PRI, right?
Yes.
And I got your stuff apart today, so I'm not going to dive into PRI. We'll get to that. Okay.
Yeah. That's the primary topic today is PRI and what's available and how impressed me as a first-time attendee was.
And how much did I, how much walking you did.
Oh, dude. Look, we'll get into it. We'll get into it.
We'll get into it later. Okay, but here I got and other things. I got your diff apart. I actually sold my first build of diff this week. Now, to Mr. Steve Milling, and
I can legit look. I am a test mule for the Jacathony Kim SPR Industries build a upgraded diff option. We're gonna test out some things. But we're going to do a swap at Wookiees for a before and after. So come to Wookiees. It's going to be great. Carry on, sir.
Oh, you're good. He is right there. We're going to do a testing. But here's what I'm learning. Everything I've learned is on C5. The B5 is distinctively different in how it disassembles.
Come on, man. How? How is it different?
Can I pause? You want to give me a commercial and I'll go get the pieces? I've got
ready. Let's go for a commercial break.
Well, here, I've got them in the car.
3, 2, 1. All
right, I'm going to fade us out to black. Friend.
What's up, bud?
Is my camera off?
No, I can see you just fine.
Oh, there it is. Okay, it was just the way I was looking at it. Oh,
I got you.
All right. Sorry about that. Seemed like... the only problem with doing a test commercial break is that it does kind of screw with the flow of things a little bit because we were talking about how the weeks were, and then I went to go take a commercial break to go get parts.
Yeah, we were talking about the diff, bro. Carry on with the diff.
Okay, so this is the pinion gear that's inside of your diff, right? The diff, hold on. This is a B5. This is a C5 rear diff. Okay? That bit right there is where it bolts together.
Oh, that's the flange you were talking about. 100 versus 108.
Well, no, that's these.
Oh, okay. So I was correct in asking if I should measure the axle flange.
Yes. Well, this is already a 108 flange.
Okay.
Sorry, no. This is a 100 millimeter flange. I apologize. These ones are the ones that are different.
Okay.
And then what I'm also finding out is, so on the B5, all of this right here doesn't exist. Because there's a whole nother cone that bolts onto the front of it.
Oh, right. The snout.
Yeah, the cases are identical. You see those holes around the outside?
Yeah.
I can take yours apart, and if I needed to, I could take one of these and put all of your shit inside of it. And here you go. Here's another one.
So, do you need my differential casing to complete the service, or do you have the part you need?
No, I think we're okay. We're good. We are good. The one thing I've noticed is like there's a couple bits on the inside that are weird. that I don't have on those. Like this thing right here. It's like a splined nut.
Some kind of spacer of some sort.
No, this is the nut that holds the bearing on.
Oh, okay.
But it has it threads down onto the shaft here. Like on down to the shaft here.
Are the notches in that piece for fitment of a tool?
Yes.
Okay.
Like a specific tool that no one makes. Like that it's made for the manufacturer to make it. So anybody who needs this is where that homegrown make your own tool stuff comes in. Because
that's my favorite.
Something like this, no one who services this?
You do.
I do. That's my point. Like this stuff, what it took to get this was I had to make my own tool, figure out what it would. Glorified P. That doesn't exist on a C5. But the principle.
Can I interject with a little personal history? I made a spark plug wrench for a 1973 Saab Sonnet second cylinder.
That's cool. How'd that go down?
It took all sorts of heat and pressure to bend a wrench. And then I realized that I also needed some grinding and that maybe a chopping a bit out of the box end might have been the wiser idea. You know, like, it was more like fabrication on 3 wrenches, 2 test mules, and this'll work.
Yeah.
Because, like, but it was one of those things, I could have gone on the internet and bought this $700 wrench because there was one available somewhere for a car that they hadn't made in 40 years, you know, for that every dealer had in the 70s to remove this one stupidly placed spark plug. Carry on.
No, it's just that's really it. Like it's just this little bit of it is different than the rest of it, and other than that, I believe
the diff you have is a B5 diff. Oh, okay. I misunderstood. I thought you were showing me all the differences between the one that I've got in my car and the C5 diff you had in your hands. But okay, you've got a B5 diff, and my concerns are alleviated.
Okay, yeah. The one that I disassembled and got this out of was a B5. It was a DQA, which basically is the 108 axle stuff. Like you can get this. Hold on. I'm going to speak out of turn if I don't read my notes.
Oh, carry on with the notes, my guy. For anybody that doesn't know, I encourage Jack to take notes and look at things because our minds do a lot of work and sometimes they can't do it all. Life lessons from Real Talk Vlogs.
Yeah. Okay. So here's all the transmission codes. For if you have a manual 01E car, you can have a DQT, a DSY, an EHW, an FTF, an FRQ, an FTK, an FCY, all in 411, all in 411s, right? Manual 6-speed cars.
Okay, can you explain differentials? I'm finally understanding differentials and gearing, but slow down. We know that the automatic has a 389 gear.
Right.
And that the manual has a 411, right? A 411 designates that you are turning 4.11 times for every time the transmission on your axle outputs as your transmission is outputting, correct? All right, cool. Or does it mean that your transmission output shaft your drive shaft has to spin 4.11 times to spin your wheels once?
Now I'm confused.
See, it's the problems.
All right.
We'll figure it out. Get back to our listeners.
There's got to be a scientist. There's somebody out there we can talk to.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll find that guest. I don't know everything, okay? I'm sorry. Any rate, there is bits of this that are different. This is not complicated to rebuild, though, either. Like, this is basic things as, like, rotational, like, rotational force. You can actually measure the rotational drag when you're turning around, and this is supposed to be something like 20 newtons.
You gotta speak up, my guy.
Oh. Anyway. Okay. So.
It might have just been me. It was me. I'm sorry.
No worries. Anyway, how's your week been?
Hold on. I'll get back to you about my week after this short commercial break.
Shit. You wouldn't believe what I did anyways.
You didn't record?
No, I've been recording. It's just been left on black screen. So I'm in the video version of this, it'll be something playing over us talking.
All right, man. I'll be back with you in a moment.
Yep.
Sorry, dude.
You're good.
Yo, so I'm gonna, before I get into my week, now that we're back from this mandatory commercial break.
It's okay. Say it. Oh my word.
What?
The shit I just seen on YouTube while on break.
Oh, okay. We'll get to that, but my week has been pretty good. It's been busy as shit. Not everybody's idea of hand signals are the same, right? So, look, I love my significant other greatly. You know who she is. I love her a lot. She's standing in the background, right, over next to my Audi flag. And this actually, the timing's good because it ties right in the greatest part of my week, right? So I'll start with that and then I'll go kind of backwards. But we bought this property, and on this property is this shed, large building, right? And in the large building are all of these commercial tools that we really can't, it's not in our budget to acquire, right? So while you were explaining the diff, she's like, hey, can you mute it for a second? I got a question, right? And I'm like, shit, something's wrong. Like, something's wrong. I don't know what her hand signals mean, like, right? And really, she was just like, yo, I want to bid on this thing a little more money. Do you think it's okay? And like, I thought it was like, oh god. But she was giving me the hand signals for this giant, like, horizontal bandsaw, right? And like, there's no like subtle way to hand signal giant bandsaw. So I was like, shit, there's something wrong. But in the middle of this this thing about like estate auctions, they kind of make me sad a little bit, because you realize you're buying some stuff that was somebody else's stuff who's not any longer with us, right? And a lot of time the values on things at estate auctions are so undervalued, right? So we're essentially talking about, I'm not gonna use the bandsaw because I don't want anybody to take it. It's ours. Fuck y'all. Okay. But like a relatively large size propane forklift, right? It's not something I need. It's not something I want. I want it out of my way, out of my shed when we acquire the property, right? But it's at like $1,000 for a usable, operatable, with spare propane tanks forklift for $1,000.
Bro, I mean, here, the reality is, it's not, if they're estate selling the stuff there, it's an opportunity for you to obtain it all for obtainable money.
Yeah, I am really, me personally, not trying to deal with trying to resell a lot of this equipment. Like, I don't have the time. I don't have the patience. I'm not trying to do it.
No, I'm not saying sell it, resell it. I'm saying that if it's something that's worthwhile that you could use.
Oh, right. Yeah, if it was, that's what I'm getting at. There's a lot of items in that place that we absolutely would love to have and we absolutely could use.
I don't even know what kind of stuff it is, so.
We would not normally pursue the quality and caliber of equipment that's in there because the price isn't justifiable for us as hobbyist folks, like, so, but if I'm able to acquire, $3 or $4 or $5,000 tool for $500, okay, I'm gonna grab it up. But it's also like, for folks out there that are knowledgeable about the values of items, it's a massive opportunity to increase your cash flow. Go to estate sales, figure out what the stuff is. What are the things you don't need that you can flip quickly? And not to be a like Debbie Downer, but like, it's stuff that the owner no longer needs. So unless somebody else wants it, you're going to get it for a good price. And a lot of times they're not advertised well at all.
Oh, estate sales?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't feel like I ever really see an estate sale listing.
Right? And dude, there's high quality stuff available that, I mean, for instance, the property we're acquiring, the previous owner ran a business that made custom doors, high-end doors, right?
Okay.
So like, there's a bandsaw, or not bandsaw, it's the wrong term. There is a bandsaw, but a belt sander. The belts have their own cabinet. Okay.
Wow.
The belts
that he made
are no. The sanding belts you got to order to replace the sanding belt you just wore out.
Right. No, I get that, but I figured he was a woodsmith, so he made the cabinet that the belts were in.
No. He made doors. He probably made other things, but he bought the belt cabinet because when he bought the machine, he bought enough belts to fill the cabinet, so that he was never left without a belt for his machine. These belts on the machine, you can sand one surface that is 8 inches deep and 9.5 foot long. Right? So he would have his jig and clamps, and he would clamp together, 3 doors, and doors may be custom, but they're all the same size, typically. 6'8" by 30 inches.
Right.
So he would clamp the 3 or 4 doors together and like clean sand the entire edges at one time. He'd have have them on like a lift or what, there was something supporting the mass of the doors.
Right.
And just instead of trying to run his hand sander up and down each edge individually.
Yeah. I mean, he could jig it up to where he could just like run doors through it. I mean,
yeah.
Bob, you're going to laugh at me here for a second, but Bob, I was talking to...
You need to lean back from your mic. Right there.
Is that better?
Thank you. Now you can talk.
I feel like frame-wise, I'm out of frame compared to you. Like, you are a much fuller frame proportions-wise.
I'm sitting close to my camera, and my mic is further away from my camera, right? Do you have a single unit, or do you have 2 units, a camera and a mic?
I have 2.
Right. So put your mic a little further. Just don't get super close to your mic because it gets like super pitchy.
Gotcha. How right now are you seeing gain adjustments on both of your meters? Like when we're just chit-chatting away?
When we're just chit-chatting away, I don't even. All right, so there's the input that is, I guess, my bro. See, like, I don't even know what you mean, man.
I'm sorry. What I was getting at. Never mind. You know what? Ignore me. I'm done. We're moving on. I was trying to tell you to move your meters down a little bit to adjust for the gain, to where it's not picking up on 2 different channels at the same time. It makes sense in my head.
I follow what you're saying. Yeah. So.
It's easy, man. You got this. This is that learning curve for the audience, for the world out there. This is like, I feel very odd at that moment trying to address the world as an entity, but listening audience as an entity.
Yeah,
it's weird. Sometimes.
Breaking that 4th wall or some stupid thing? All right. For all those that don't know, Jack essentially is more of the audio guy and handles the editing for this. Um, I, it's not my specialty. So, in the world of adjust this thing, it's almost like he needs to come to my basement, click the mouse, move the thing. It's bad. I have knowledge in a lot of places, and I'm proud of that. But this is not one of them.
One day we'll get to that whole. Scotty will have figured out transwarp equation, and we'll be able to transport.
Yeah.
It'll be good.
No, but I will get to a point where it's more in my knowledge base.
It's all right, man. Here, I have problems sometimes
on.
putting my thoughts into words. They tell people what to do, so it's like an equal playground here.
Okay. All right. All right.
At any rate,
there was more to my week.
Oh,
Not that it's like anything. I was listening to an old episode earlier, right? And we had the of how our week was out of 7. I think we need to stick to that, right? Because like if you have a 7 out of 7 week, you have 7 stellar days, right, John? You got a lot to talk about. But if we start out like, yo, man, I had a 2 out of 7, right? I'm just gonna tell you straight up, it's 2 out of 7. Yeah, my week was not a 2 out of 7, but if we walk in, we have a 2 out of 7. It's like, you know what, Jack? Tell me about your week on a private line, but tell me about them 2 days though. Those other 2 days. We don't want to bring the whole attitude down, right? We're cheery guys. I legit had a 3 out of 7, but based on all the stress, right? Because I put too much on my plate. I 100% put too much on my plate, right? So like
I need
the
to get a
PR trip that we'll get to, I had to work into that to get, like, I needed Friday off so I could drive out to Indy, do the PRI thing. I needed to get the things I needed to do at work done before I left. You know what I mean? Like, there was no option for me to, I'll grab that on Monday for the things I was working on, right? Like,
yeah,
no option.
So,
and I worked a lot of hours, right? And so I got to PRI. We'll get to that. Exhausted, but I still wanted to see everything, right? So the 3, or what, I don't even know what my rating was. 3, right? 3 was Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah. 3. You gave it 3 out of 7.
Like, yeah. So PRI was legit as hell. We'll get to that, right? I have to keep telling myself that because I just want to like spit it all out. Like,
right bro, now. I know.
PRI was legit. Mad respect. So PRI was great. Work's been an overload, and today, I think, was the end of this thing that's been stressing me the hell out, right? But it's one of those things that I wasn't expecting to have to deal with it the first off, which goes back to our when plans are changed, you get stressed, right? And then I've still got the other things I'm responsible for. On top of this thing I didn't know I was responsible for. On top of this, I need Friday off, right? So, yeah, I'm ready to do some sleeping, but
bro, Monday night,
about your week,
Monday night I was out.
I slept so good on both Sunday and Monday night. Like, took a big nap. Now, in the personal realm of things, Monday still counts as this week. We have game night on Monday night. Roddy, another friend, Steven, Fred, myself are typically the regulars. We have a couple guys come in and out. But game night, we actually haven't, I don't think, played a board game in some time, right? Which is fine.
Oh, that reminds me. I got to order that. Games. I was going to order that board, Formula 1.
Oh, La Corsa.
La Corsa.
What Formula? No, La Corsa is the game that it's a little like roll the dice, quick play game. Yes. Formula 1. Check it out, folks. Board game, develop some stuff. Jack can explain it better than I can, but I was excited last time I explained it. Order that thing, Jack. Anyway, also look into La Corsa. It is a fun game for multiple age ranges. It's all based on racing and qualifying and how you roll to qualify and what cars you end
Really?
up with and what they're worth. Dude, it's a lot of fun. It is. It's honestly a lot of fun. And so
Really?
this like group of guys, we're all middle-aged dudes. None of us have kids. One's about to have a kid. We get together for game night on Monday night because typically you walk into a shit show on Monday morning, right? And then by Monday afternoon, you're just ready to let off some steam. So I ended Sunday on like a high note, got my drive done. Monday night, after Monday, I was ready to just like tie one on, let her loose. But like, we meet at Fred's house. It's a ways from my house. I have to be responsible enough to drive home. So I did that. But good. It was a good week overall. 3 out of 7 PRI was legit. I'm ready to move on to the quote unquote holiday season and have a little bit of rest and relaxation in my professional life.
For those who may or may not be listening, and for future podcasting data surveying purposes here, should we have a history of talking about off the wall topics? In the comment section below, would you guys find interest in future Christmas based topics and how some of maybe the theology, is that the right word? I think I'm trying to
You mean some of the religious roots of the Christian holiday known as Christmas?
Yes, there we go. And well, like,
All right.
there's variables of how Christmases came about. Or is this just a bad thing to like dabble into?
We should let the listeners that listen chime in. Okay, so a little bit of background: Steve's personal history. My grandfather was an Episcopalian pastor. My father was a deacon in the Episcopalian church. Not deacon, that's not the right word. Lay reader in the Episcopalian church. Not a formal thing, but a thing you do at our local church, right? And I am not religious.
Here, and from my perspective, okay, I'm going to put mine out there. So I was baptized Roman Catholic, went to private school, did the church thing, altar boy, we cleaned the church. But then I got married to a Mormon woman and got baptized into the Mormon religion. So, like, it's very interesting. Now, I believe more.
Dude, it is a. I don't talk bad about people. I do my absolute best to not talk bad about people.
Okay.
But some of my deepest concerns in the world relate to some of the religions of the world.
And
I'll leave that hang for our listening public. But I don't have anything against any of the religions, really, because I think people need to handle themselves as they would handle themselves outside, whether their religions are a guide. I'll leave it at that. Religions are a guide.
All right. Well, let's move on from this topic. How's that? I don't even know how we got here at this point. Like, we went deep.
You wanted to do a Christmas thing. We're barely into Quattro weather. Christmas is
next week.
You're right. Shit. You're right. You're right. You're right.
But here, it was just a statistical poll. Like, we only get one episode a year, maybe, to do a Christmas upload on. So
that's true.
So like,
that's true.
I'm thinking like maybe, dude, we could even read, the night before Christmas, Jack and Steve edition.
Oh, really? Really? Look, man,
bro,
I am a huge fan of Weird Al and the likeness of his kind. Right.
Well, dude, what if we had a special guest? What if Mr. Ray Swore came on and read the night before Christmas?
Oh, dude, Ray Swore is a very highly regarded deity. So, I think a reading by Ray Swore would be of the utmost finest Christmas type. Maybe an ending to our episode. We could see if he could spare a couple minutes of his busy holiday season.
Yeah, we'll give him a buzz. We'll call him in.
All right. All right, you do have his direct line, right?
Yes, I do. I do.
Okay, all right,
Yeah.
all right. I'm not gonna ask for that because I don't want to, you know how it is. Friends of a friend aren't necessarily your friends, so you don't
Yeah.
want to ask the same favors, right? So,
Fair enough. Fair enough.
all right,
So these past couple weeks we've been talking about manufacturing. We've talked about the assembly line. I've busted Steve's balls about not dabbling in the freaking water carburetor stuff, but we're here nor there. We've been talking about notable high points of manufacturing history and way things are changing that are how we know cars as of today. Like some things like fuel injection, modern manufacturing techniques is like materials. Uh, we've came up to the point where we're about 2000 ish. Would you say that's pretty fair? Say,
yeah. I mean, we essentially tried to do a couple lead up episodes to the PRI show,
yeah.
because PRI is essentially the car show for car nerds. And you don't get to be a car nerd unless you're a nerd to start with. And I don't mean this disrespectfully, but there were some smart guys at booths ready to talk to people. And those people were us, right? And there's some incredible change coming forth in the automotive industry. And knowing that we were going to PRI, we knew that we're going to see some pretty cool stuff, being as it's like cutting edge racing technology, right? And so we've essentially covered pre-assembly line, carriage era, we'll call it, in the Steve and Jack world of historical podcasts. And then the post we essentially are left in the post carriage era. And then in the 2000s, 90s, there was a lot of change in the late 80s, 90s, going into 2000s as computer tech took over the control of the cars, right? We went from carbs and gas pedals, manual brakes, etc., to analog brakes, electronic fuel injection, entertainment systems, right? Like all of
Bro,
these things.
screens. You
Yeah,
got like tablets and dashboards now.
right. But essentially, what changes the manufacturing system and style is the demands from customers of what they want in their cars, right? So you led to fuel injection because customers didn't want to have to deal with, fiddling with the carburetor to make sure it ran on this foggy Thursday in the middle of the summer, like stuff like that. And so one of the biggest advancements in cars early, they were expensive. Cars were expensive. They took a lot of time to make. People wanted a cheaper car. Henry Ford was like, yo, I can do that. Great. Change the industry, right? Computers are changing the industry. Design algorithms, organic stuff, like the involvement. And we saw that coming with, say, computer-aided design, CAD, really it came around the 60s, 70s, but as computers came on. But essentially, like where we're at now, we are essentially going to a point where we set a target, right? This is the end result we want. What's the best way to do that? Go. And so like Zinger's probably the first one to move there, and they're essentially selling the idea of construction pods with AI design and multiple composite integration into a single unit, right?
Okay.
It's a lot going on there, and everybody's touching a different spot, right? So not everybody is like, hey, we're gonna be the end product developer, right? You got a whole lot of steps along the way. So this company Zinger is essentially stepping off from where the 3D printer companies are and where the high-end material science guys are, carbon fiber developers that, autoclaves, and think about all of the things that were developed to get us to where we're at now, and saying, okay, what can something with a insane processing speed come up with with all of this information about all of these industries that have gotten to the point they're at now, right? We're doing cool stuff with 3D printing. Like that as by itself, rapid prototyping, that's absolutely game changer.
Yo, it
Like
does
without a doubt.
It's also scary. Like,
what do you mean?
I mean, okay, when you think about, have you ever seen the movie Inception, where the guy downloads his brain into a computer?
Yes.
Okay, so the conceptual idea into that movie is that he 3D prints a new body.
Yes.
AI already can mimic organic structure developmentally wise. Like,
well, I mean, first off,
I'm scaring the people again.
This is a deep dark hole that we could get into, not related to automotive development, right? Right.
Cars are the worst thing in the world.
We're gonna try to keep this around automotive design and not our scary tinfoil hat shit.
Okay.
Now, I have a lot of love for scary tinfoil hat guys. Okay, because sometimes they're right, and they have let you know. And there's plenty of reading material out and available for the thing that would never happen, right?
Yo, random thought on the tinfoil hat guys. I just found this podcast called The Third Kind.
Okay.
And it's a podcast about conspiracy theories of all sorts, from everything. Okay. And I laughed so hard because I was listening to one and they were talking about fluoride in the water.
Yeah.
And then they started doing studies about how fluoride is affecting people's IQ levels. And like they studied this in Michigan back in the 80s. Like I was like, what? I don't know how valid it is. I haven't fact checked them, but just random thought. We were talking about conspiracy, tinfoil hat guys. I'm on board.
Yeah.
I like to listen to it. It's weird.
I am not really concerned about targeted AI.
Okay, put this a different way. Can you imagine if they took all those data points, allowed the AI and said, make me a car? What would an AI designed car be?
That's what I'm getting at. Okay.
Oh, I'll shut up then.
You're worried about AI doing whatever and taking over the world Terminator style.
Yeah, that's what I'm concerned about.
Okay, I'm talking about automotive production and how the industry as a whole is going to shift away from assembly lines.
Bro, just think about how it's easy for Skynet to take over at that point. If we're 3D printing a car, 3D print a robotic Terminator. We got dude. We're all going to die because of robots.
Since Terminator has the whole topic covered, we're going to take the next 2.5 hours to watch that movie.
No, I'm sorry.
A review? Did you hit play? No, all right, I'm going to stop being an ass. Look,
you're good, I'm being.
Look, Zinger, the company that exists now, has done this thing. Shit your pants in your private time, all right? But this car is out. Zinger has introduced targeted design. And essentially they've said, I'll use a suspension as an example. We need this wheel to do these things. We need this wheel to be attached to these portions of this unibody structure that, you also designed that, but we need these wheels to be attached to this unibody structure, and we need these wheels to be powered by some unit from within there. And you've got the wheel needs to weigh. You can put in as many or as few data points as you want, correct? So if you're like, I need a truck that can carry this much stuff and it can only be this deep. Well, you're only going to get so many boxes of so many dimensions that are a bed of a truck, right?
Right. You're putting the data points in for it. Like you got to give it some basic data.
But they're like, hey, we want to make the fastest car, or it's essentially a hypercar.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right here. CZINGER, right? 21C, 1,233 bhp.
Yeah, I honestly don't give a shit about horsepower numbers anymore. Like,
but you got to a level. It's got to, like in this case, you're talking about a 3D printed car. Like, The power
my
to
point,
weight.
my point about the horsepower numbers, like everybody gets caught up on the horsepower numbers, right?
Oh,
You and I, as guys, know that you can make any horsepower you want when you bolt on whatever parts required to make that power. So when you're designing a supercar that might never meet regulations, right? And you're gonna make a showpiece, a world stopper. You can pick whatever horsepower number you want to put in it.
oh, okay,
It's
fair
kind of
enough.
annoying to me. Right?
No, I
And
see what you're getting at there. I do, I
yeah,
do.
so like this car would be amazing regardless of whatever horsepower numbers in it. That car could have 400 horsepower, and conceptually, it's still amazing.
I
Because
see what you get.
and like, no offense to you, but the first thing you looked at and the first thing they advertised is the horsepower number.
Yeah, it
And
was within the first 5 words on the page.
yeah, right. Okay, it's cool, great. You got single turbo LS, like
I
every
mean,
other
1,000
in the United
horsepower.
States.
1,000 horsepower in this thing might be nuts if it. I'm curious what it weighs.
Well, that's the amazing part. Is the reason you're seeing all of this organic design is because the AI has access to how plants are formed and how human bones are formed, what shape they have, what their fiber structure looks like, right? And so when you look at the suspension arms on that, they're designed to have forces go through certain ways, right?
Okay, so
They
interject.
know.
I
Hold
want.
on, hold on,
Some
hold
people
on,
don't
hold
understand.
on, hold
Okay.
on, hold on. Right? The suspension, they know how the forces are transferred, right? And so they have that network of how forces are transferred. And because they're 3D printing the arm and not having to forge it or mill it or whatever, they're merely printing out the shape in the path of which the forces are dispersed. So they're ultimately printing the lightest weight possible piece they can for every component of that car, regardless of what forces are required for it.
I wonder if they're printing the parts like, and then they still assemble it, or is it like one giant print bed?
No. They're so essentially, from what I've seen, and I've looked a bit. Think about robot manufacturing lines now. So they've taken assembly lines and you move a unit down the line and every robot does a different thing, right?
Right.
You now have robots. There might be 3 or 4 of them in a construction unit, and those 3 or 4 robots do all of the things. So your assembly line is now an assembly room. And your plant isn't an assembly line. It's scalable. How many production rooms can you need? You want to have a car company? Have you designed, buy our software, buy our equipment, buy our thing? Zinger isn't selling a car. They're selling a manufacturing unit.
Oh. They're saying you can do this with our shit.
Right. And what that does is it brings automotive manufacturing, right? Outside of the testing. I mean, understand that the National Highway Safety Administration and all that stuff, there's requirements that you just can't get around in terms of testing and road feasibility.
Right. I
Right?
wonder how much one of these costs.
Oh, I don't know. I didn't look. I don't know if that information is available. It is probably not public, right? Because it's not what it costs to make that equipment. It's the value it provides to the client. Okay? So conceptually, we were talking earlier about 3D printing and rapid prototyping. You want a rapid prototype of spoiler. You want a rapid prototype of armrest. You want a rapid prototype intake manifold. You can do all of that thing with a basic 3D printer, right? And you're the person that's saying, hey, I want to try this thing. I want to design it this way. I want to do this thing. Okay? Now, you've got the AI and computing power to say, hypothetically, here's however many designs you want to make, right? It might be 1 million iterations of design overnight. And in the morning, it's printed you the prototype it thinks will be best for your needs. Right?
Yeah. But all that comes from all these different data points that you got to feed this AI.
Yeah,
Like
100%, 100%.
you can feed it everything be the same except for one thing. Like you were talking about bone structure earlier. And
Hmm.
from my perspective on AI, like you're giving it, here is this folder, this folder, this folder, this folder, this folder, and then you have an algorithm that you're saying that like design a part algorithm,
Yeah,
and it's told inside this algorithm to look at all of these data points from aerodynamics to how forces are implied on things, maybe tire coefficients, you
yeah.
know,
And
the
the thing is, the more data points you feed the compensated unit, the calculator, whatever you want to call it, right? Because this, again, not my area of expertise.
I think we can call it AI. Safely to say AI.
Okay, so you feed the AI more data points. Well, we're already starting with an immense amount of data points that a lot of times are completely unrelated to automotive design. You know,
Yeah, bones aren't related to automotive.
right? Flowers. Who's looking at what flower in the world has the largest suspended leaf, and how is it suspended, and why can that flower suspend such a large leaf, or that flower stem suspend such a large bud, you know, what while taking up as little uh resources as possible. You've got millions of years of evolutionary design that it's starting with.
I never thought about it like that. Like you're
You
right
think
though.
I mean, like, you look at all of the different types of birds, right? You have millions of years of evolutionary design saying this bird lives in this area and eats these things. But this other bird lives in the same area and it eats different things, right? And what have we gotten out of the resources consumed by this species to make it sustainable within this region, right? One of the biggest things that's against the automotive industry is the sustainability of consuming fuel and consuming metal and consuming all of these things to make these cars, right? One of the biggest, mind blowingest things for me, reduction of waste with these production units, because they are not metal components. Imagine a welder wire feeding whatever metal you want to make this component out of. And it is just essentially tack welding on the
There's a bridge
smallest
in
scale.
there's a bridge in China that was done that way. They
Is it
built
China?
Yeah, I've read about this someplace. There's a
I've read,
bridge.
I know the bridge you're talking about. I'm not sure you're right on location. We can look into that later. But that thing's amazing. So essentially, take that concept where you're 3D printing a bridge with zero waste on any metal,
Yeah.
and apply it to automotive structure, right?
Yeah. Dude,
And
there was a robotic welder at the Lincoln booth there. They had one that they were showing off on how it
yeah,
articulated its arm. I'm like, dude, that's wild. Like
yes,
he was talking about how you plot its course and you can tell it where it needs to do, like radiuses. I don't
I will say, one of my largest concerns with the idea of these production pods, uh, what's the energy consumption, comparatively speaking, to a production line?
Oh,
It's not
bro,
something I
just
don't
plug it
know that.
into the solar grid. You're good. It'll be fine.
I have different opinions on solar and different opinions on all sorts of different stuff.
Here's the deal. We live on the biggest solar farm of it all. The world is a giant solar farm. It is a
Yep.
greenhouse. It's an energy making machine, right? All right. I'm not saying I'm against petro, but yo, the shit that we as a country, as a world waste our freaking money on, if we focused half of our nuclear budget around the world, no one would be complaining about it.
Yo, um, I,
From an
this is
energy.
we're jumping into a real talk vlogs moment. I hate comparisons that start out with, if we spent this money on. because there ain't no government in the world that takes money out of one thing and puts it in another to solve any kind of problem.
No, they just print more of it.
All
Or
right.
raise the debt ceiling.
So moving past Zinger and where the automotive manufacturing industry is going, dude, I don't see there being any way of it not transitioning in that direction. Like I just don't. I mean, conceptually, think of this. We're gonna relate back to the carriage era, okay? In the pre-1910s, pre-Henry Ford, every town had a car manufacturer that used to be a carriage manufacturer or builder. And I'm not saying every town, but like every larger entity that could support that business. We're not talking about every major city. We're talking about every large town.
So are you trying to tell me that every town is going to have a pod and you can go up to it and click the boxes of the options you want
No,
and come back 10 hours later?
No, what I'm saying is you're going to potentially have one guy in every city that has decided, yo, that's freaking awesome. I'm going to design a car and I'm going to print one out. And you're going to have these guys that have the resources available to buy one of those units, right? And you're going to end up with a lot more car companies. I don't see how we don't, because like Ford, if somebody's going to compete against Ford or Cadillac or Chevrolet or whoever, they've got to buy an assembly line. That's billions of dollars.
Yeah.
Or hundreds of millions of dollars.
So
if you think of where we're at in terms of the cost of a CNC machine or a giant miller, I mean, let's be honest. We walked up to a booth at PRI where the guy said, "Hey, do you have $250,000?" We're like, "No." Can you tell her about us anyway? There's no way we get into his client base unless we're ready to spend $250,000, right? In the business world, that ain't that much money.
Oh, agreed. I'm reading this article on Zinger. And
okay.
This line says, by splitting a factory into a number of 15 meter by 15 meter fully automated cells, each capable of assembling 10,000 chassis a year, that's one every 20 minutes. And they've got the costs down to just at $2.5 million upfront for the robots and other hardware.
Right, so $2.5 million of robots and other hardware. Hardware. Let's be clear. Hardware.
Right. But let's just use that as a rough number.
Does not get you that AI.
Oh.
There's no way $2.5 million gets you that AI.
Okay.
Because essentially at that point, whoever has it first wins. And they have.
I don't think it's I think the AI could be software. It's the data. You won't have the data.
Okay. All right. For everybody listening, this is hypothetical speak. We are not in bed with Zinger.
Yeah, and here we don't even know. We're taking this as we're reading articles and how would you make this work? Yeah, like if I had $2.5 million, could we design a car? How do we get the data?
I don't know. I can't answer that question. That's rhetorical. But I can tell you a 50 by 50 building that houses that equipment, what is the power that has to run to it? How much power do you need? How do you assemble the resource chain? You know what I mean? So like for you and I, if you and I bought a machine at $2.5 million is a cheap point in for being able to produce a car every 20 minutes.
10,000 cars a year if we let it send.
Right. But I think the weak point for small guys getting in is the design of the vehicle itself, right? What car are you going to sell first? Because you're only making one at a time.
I think what you're going to see here with this, we're looking at this wrong. It's not about using AI to design a car. What it's about
is using AI to make the hyper efficiency of the production.
Yes, because what I bet we'll see, what you would see out of mom and pop shops, like let's say we bought one of these things, right?
Mm-hmm.
right? Here, I mean, $2.5 million. Honestly, you could get a bank loan if you had the right structure, right finances on paper. That's a check, right? Like, let's be honest here.
I'm gonna give you a real talk vlog moment. Watch what you say. Talk to me off the line.
Okay, whatever.
Fair. No. Keep on. I'm just saying, don't go too deep. I'm not trying to announce to the world via our podcast things we might end up working on.
Okay. But somebody could, what all I'm getting at is somebody could physically obtain this machine.
Mm-hmm.
Power is feasible. Like, there are ways that you can get some pretty nasty power in your house. Like, I know some people with big three-phase. So three-phase is definitely enough power to run one of these. I think if I was doing that and I was selling it, what I would theoretically do is find conceptual drawings. Like, people build all these concept cars. I think what you'll theoretically see is some wild concepts come to life.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Somebody's going to make an image and be like, you got to work within these variables. Click print.
So, we were talking before about, like, seats. Like, the cost of seats for software. I think that's what it goes to. Is you buy $2.5 million, get you the Zinger equipment, right? And then you have to pay a subscription fee to use Zinger's AI software, which they will share a profit margin on every unit produced through their machines that you own, right?
Ooh.
So, like, you own the machine, you've paid $2.5 million. The machines will do all these things. Well, for the energy, you're responsible for the raw materials, you're responsible for all that. And Zinger's going to say, okay, well, it's a bajillion dollars to use our software, and then we also get a percentage of every unit produced out of our machines, or we'll take you to, like, here's the design. The moment you print one out, you have to pay us to be able to print the next one.
That's an interesting way of looking at it.
But like,
because is it technically they own portion of it because it's their AI type of thing?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, they're going to maintain. I don't know. I don't know this for sure, but you're going to have some ability. You're essentially going to say, I want to utilize the Zinger AI to design this thing. This thing is my design, but it's also a little bit of Zinger's. You know what I mean? Like, it'll be the Jack truck of the year, right? And it's a pickup truck, and it tows these things, and it moves these things. And it's the Jack truck, right? But it's also, Jack prints one out for himself. Sweet. Jack's got a sweet truck. And he's paid Zinger for the rights to print that truck. Oh, somebody else wants one of them Jack trucks. All right, well, that's cool. I can print you a Jack truck. Yeah, that's cool. Right on. Well, Zinger gets paid again, and they should.
Yeah, I mean, there was another one made.
But you've bought the equipment, and you are spending the resources to print another truck, right? It's going to be an interesting thing. I'm very curious to watch it develop. I think another market is also the smaller entities, right? Say let's use Fidanza as an example, right?
Okay, yeah. We
talked with Jeff from Fidanza for a good period of time at PRI. Awesome guy. I understand a lot of the stresses he's dealing with in the industry. We get it, and we will continue to support him. But Fidanza, hypothetically, could have a portion of a Zinger, right? He might have the whole production pod, but he's got the one robot that can print flywheels. Okay. Well, now we've got the science of how flywheels exert forces. And we've got a lot of guys that have thought about how flywheels exert and receive forces and what they need to do. All right. We've tried maybe 15,000 designs in all of history.
Would the flywheel necessarily be printed, or would it be more of something like you would put in an 8-axis? Remember that 8-axis guy?
Yeah,
Like that's a
100%.
whole. So a flywheel I could see, or Bob and I was talking about it. An 8-axis that, because you here on the 8-axis you load a tube stock into it. It would take a 3-inch piece of round, solid, whatever, billet, steel, aluminum, titanium, doesn't matter, and it could shit out like it. They were had for those out in TV world. I'm holding my hands out there. Steve's already seen it, but there was pieces of vertebrae, like the guy was talking about, that goes in your back, and it was made of some.
They were printed out of like
It wasn't printed.
3/4. Okay, I'm sorry. Cut, produced, whatever, out of like a 3/4 inch stock. So essentially, the smallest tube stock that you could get to produce this one thing.
And it's a multi-tool head machine. So it had, I think he said, like 10 or 15 different attachments in there. And this one vertebrae had threaded inserts in it. Like, the guy
Lean
even
back.
said, huh?
Lean back away from your mic.
Sorry.
Thank you. I know you're excited.
Yo, it's a really cool machine. Like, I would buy one. Like, I don't think $25,000 is a lot of money. Like,
yeah, 25,000 isn't. 250,000 is a larger number than 25.
That machine, he said, was 25.
No. No, he did not. He absolutely 100% did not. 100% did not. I will fight you to the death on this one.
No, you're good. It seemed like, I thought he said $25,000. When
he
I
said
know
250, what he first said was $250,000. He said, "Do you have $250,000? 250,000." Yo, if it was $25,000, I've been to the bank. I'd have 15 of those motherfuckers lined up. Pardon my language, but at $25,000, why wouldn't you? Yeah, what it's capable of. All right, like a 5-axis CNC machine used to be the $250,000 mark, and now we've moved up, right? Like,
it's a production piece of equipment. Like, you tell it you need 10,000 of this. And the guy shit out, like, sorry, excuse my language. The guy, they
printed or produced
5 hammer handles in like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I think they were like 10 inches long or something. And I'm like, this is a production machine. So you want to produce something that's within this size variable, that's the machine you do. And then you have a robot grab it out of a bin.
Here's the thing that I want to remind everybody that wasn't at PRI. This machine printed hammer handles and then followed it up with vertebrae bits.
And then followed that up with bottle openers.
Right. So, essentially, this one machine, you need 83 different things printed that can all come out of a singular diameter of stock and a singular type of material. You load in the 83 designs and you go home. And then you show up in the morning or a week later or whatever the production time is for these 83 individual units, and they are laid out in order, dropped in bins.
Yeah.
Like, it used to be, and still is a lot, you produce one head of one tool. Like a good example is punches, right? Punches. They make one shape in one type of material, right? And that head is $400 because it fits this one machine that does this one thing.
Does it concern you that we might be phasing ourselves out as workforce to a level? Or no, we're not, because we're able to produce more for the demand of the population as a...
You and I are not the people that should be concerned about our levels of employment. You and I can adapt. It is the low education, low skill, low intelligence folks that they've spent the last 20 years moving up the production line because they learned a new thing, right? And their whole career is based in, I don't want to talk down about people. There's different people with different skill sets that can do different things. You and I, as intelligent, adaptable people, will always have something to earn an income from.
I think another way of
what we're doing right now or not may not be true, but we'll adapt. We'll be fine.
I think what Steve's saying is the jack of all trades is being a
You'll
jack of all trades is a good
you'll
thing.
pick up a new trade. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm excited about the future. The other thing about PRI that has me super excited is the evolution of old tech, the polishing. What
Oh
used to
yeah.
be considered polishing is not what we learned from polishing things and putting them in places where you wouldn't expect polishing things has evolved into a chemical science of molecular metal manipulation.
Molecular. I sound like Daffy Duck.
Right? Like, okay, this may be something that's not that new, but it's absolutely new to me.
Well, it's okay. It's from the 70s. Like this technology has been being utilized since the 70s, but gotten better and better.
Okay, right? So where I'm first learning about it is at a pretty advanced level. And
Facts.
side note, we are working on getting as many of the experts from PRI on as guests because we learned a lot about. I mean, we asked questions, and we want to share what we learned with you, and we are not necessarily the best vessels to give the most technical aspects of the things we learned about, right?
But
PRI was full of experts. We are enthusiasts and experts on a couple things.
and with that, with Steve saying that, we are reaching out. We've already made some introductions with a lot of these companies about coming on the show. From a professionalism standpoint, it's just a process.
Yeah.
For that matter, they might be very well listening to this one, vetting us on whether or not they want to come on our channel and say hi.
You guys want to come on our channel for sure. You guys want to be here. Y'all want to teach us and all of our listeners about all the stuff that we could future learn about. So
And it's
come
not
on,
just
teach
us, it's everybody. I mean, here, it's on the internet, so it's here for the rest of eternity. It'll be a data point at some point.
Yeah. A big thing for PRI, the amount of industries that are focusing on lightweight. Fuel lines, lightweight. Fittings, lightweight. Wheels, lightweight. Paint, lightweight. Glass, lightweight.
Indestructible.
That's awesome. I'm excited.
Also, we found a couple companies like from the Shields. I was surprised to hear that they made a freaking Audi window. Like I walked up to him, I was like, so I forgot. She started asking me all instantly about American cars. I was like, no. She's like, what? JDM? I'm like, no.
Camaro, no. Firebird, no. Corvette, no. Mustang, no. Yeah.
We were those guys. Like with everybody, it was said they make something for every. I was surprised when we said Audi, and she's like, wait, what kind? We actually have some. I'm like,
yeah,
what?
It was a moment. It was
good. That's
the other. That's a good. The Shields Premier windshields, right?
Yes.
Did I get that right? Yeah.
Yes. So they make S4 and S6 ones.
Yes, we have to. We are working on to find out which platform, which chassis. Okay, because that's important. I have a B5. He has a C5. I don't need a C6 windshield for my B5.
But I would take a C5 S6 windshield for my C5 race car.
Correct. So, another aspect of PRI, you are not showing up to PRI and talking to a generic rep or the local sales guy. You are talking to developmental engineers. You are talking about vice presidents of marketing. You are talking to owners. You are talking to the players with that business. And so you're able to get to the root of a lot of needs very rapidly. And you're also able to get to the root of, I don't need this, very rapidly. Like you walk up to the booth, they're like, do you have $250,000? I do not. But on the flip side, talking to Jeff from Fidanza, like, hey man, you said I have a flywheel of yours. Okay. And you discuss some of the issues you ran into with not not the Fidanza flywheel you have,
Oh no, I
but
thrash that
with the
thing. I love
flywheel
it.
industry, you know, and copy pasta, copycats, and foreign copiers are a major problem,
Yeah.
and that was a continuing topic in a lot of the booths that we went up to, and
You
it's a
know,
concern for us, you know, as we transition into not real talk blogs, but us, Jack and I, in different industries professionally, transition into producing things. You know,
SPR
it becomes a
Industries.
problem. Nobody wants to spend money on development knowing that the return on that development cost is narrowed greatly to just the amount of time it takes somebody else to copy what you've done.
So this is where I question something. This is where a whole nother industry of mine I wonder about. So
Okay.
we've talked I've talked before about crypto industries, right?
Endlessly, yes.
All right, endlessly. Anyway, there's this thing in that industry called smart contracts, right? And we were talking about you were talking about the Singer printers. If somebody printed and put these resources in it, they might not there might be a way for them to smart contract automated. Oh, you printed one? Okay, dude, it just sends the payment. Dude, you sent another one, sent the payment, so on and so forth, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it might come to the point where you can also take an NFTs are attachable, a digital footprint that can be attached to an item, a physical realm item, I believe as well. So I'm
Okay.
wondering in this whole futuristic world where we can make nothing out of a piece of bar stock
Mm-hmm.
and people can do it multiple places around the world. Is there going to be this digital economic structure of some sort that's going to merge with the yo, you want this part? Great. Here is the file. I'm mailing it to you. You can print your own at your local or go down to your local 3D printing Walmart and pick it up off machine 26A.
Yeah. Okay. So I get what you're saying, right? And I think that that is a very possible future. But in relation to the copy thing, it doesn't solve anything, right? If you do the development, it takes one person to print one of them and somebody else to take their digital scanner and go, I can make one
Ah,
of those.
but no. See, if it was so, let's play that once again. That theoretical game here. Okay, I'm
No, 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 time out. I'm talking about things that are available right now. You can go buy a scanner that scans things and you create a 3D file, right? And you can manipulate that file. You can also go buy a 3D printer or a $250,000 mill machine or an 8-axis machine, right? And you don't have to connect that to the internet. You don't you can have that right now. So you can scan things and print a new one right now.
I see what you're saying. So the ability for
when
easeability
we
for somebody to
evolve when
copy
we
it.
evolve to the point where you've got the file, as soon as you sell the file to the first person, there's an entity out there that could copy and pasta.
All right. I think the only way to solve that, not even solve it, it's just a, that you're right. I get the trip factor of it. Does it come down to copyright law or patent law? I don't know.
Yeah, the world's evolving, and you and I, as two bums in a hut, don't have the answers.
No.
You
Well, we
know,
can
and
find the people to get them.
we're for sure gonna watch, and we're for sure gonna take part anywhere we can. And but
I think we are.
it's we're moving rapidly away from assembly lines and Ford making 1 million trucks a month. I really think that's going to go away. And I don't get me wrong, I'm happy about it. Like I don't think one person or one entity should have all of the gains and profits.
No, I mean here, if you think about it from the aspect of like what is possible, what like from if you have one people or one group of people controlling, oh, we're gonna make 1 million cars. We'll just go back to that for a second. You've got all these other minds out there of what is plausible, of ideas. You know, it's just technology in the future is going to allow for more creative projects to come to life.
Yeah,
And
it's gonna
that's
create
what's
a lot of
exciting.
outlets for the creative projects we have. Yeah, all of the ideas. It'll be easier for the ideas to become a thing, right? And I'm excited about that part. I am so excited about that part. I really am.
Yeah.
But
Oh yeah.
dude, we have our. I'm back to our guest list for a second.
Okay.
Like, you know that I love talking to experts because I want to learn from the people that know. And PRI is full of experts. And
Should I
if there's
list off?
anybody, wait till we get some confirmed. Wait till
Okay.
we get some confirmed.
I didn't know if you want me to just like name drop some companies of people we're trying to get on.
No, not yet,
Okay.
not yet. Let's. You know, I like to announce things when I have firm footing.
Steve's a very officially type. I like to instigate by pre-posting on people because I'm.
Yeah, but then you're like, oh man, I bet we can get. I bet we can get the CEO of Ford on here, and Ford's like, idiot. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, if we here a real talk vlog moment, if we had the audience base, there are shows that people have called people out on and then ended up getting them strictly because through whatever media stream it's founded that they
lean away from your mic. I'm just saying, every time you lean in on that joker, all I hear is
yeah, and I gotta edit
you're
it.
getting pitchy. So
I gotta edit it.
Yeah, you're gonna hear it, man. I'm just saying. So you can chop out every time I'm like, lean back, lean back, lean back. Oh, yo, look, you know how you and I keep talking about ways we can improve the podcast before we hop off here, right? There are like sound buttons, right? So I'm gonna figure out how to get sound buttons that have like clips of things that I can play a little sound button. And everybody's like, yo, why does he keep playing that little clip of that song? But it indicates something for you to do or something that you want to indicate for me to do, right? Right? So you just like hit the little sound button. It's like lean back, rock with it. Yeah, that song. I'm terrible. I'm terrible.
Lean with it, rock with it.
Right? Yeah, that one. And you'll know to hey, lean away from your mic a little bit without me being like, yo, dumbass, lean away from your mic so it doesn't keep pitching my ear shit. You know?
It is. I'm looking at the gain level right now, and like I'm at 45, 50 decibels. Leaning here. If I come in here, actually on my end, it's still only like 45, 50 decibels. So it's just peaky on your side, maybe.
I think it might be the fact that I'm now wearing earbuds.
Oh, maybe.
Live and learn. But, yo, at this point, I think we close out our week.
All right, bro.
What's your tail end topic? I've got a tail end topic.
Go for it.
All right. January 1st is the start of the Dakar Rally. We talked about Audi's entry into endurance off-road racing. It starts January 1st. And to follow up the question you had last time, the RS5 DTM engine is solely used as a generator to charge the batteries, which power the electric output drive units. That is not something I knew at the time that we discussed it, but I looked it up just for you.
Nice. Thank you so much. So it is a fully electric car, technically, as far as drive power, right? Or did I miss?
It's still, it's still a hybrid. You got to put gas in it to make it go. Like,
but the
it's
gas
not,
engine
it's not
doesn't.
Electric power. You're not putting electric in to make it go. You're putting gas in for it to make electric for it to go. That's hybrid.
Okay, so it's a hybrid.
Yeah,
it's a hybrid, but the motor does not attach to the ground.
Yep. Yes, the 2-liter turbocharged direct injection mad horsepower engine is not driving the wheels.
That's so weird. Okay, so would you like my last minute wayward thoughts? When we were on commercial break earlier, I stumbled across a thing that is scary. Have you heard of the S1 Hunatron?
It just came out today. I have not watched.
Yeah, I've watched 1 minute 5 seconds, and I had when you came back on, I paused it, set it down, and my arm hair was standing up, and I'm like,
okay,
ooh, electric Group B.
Yo, look, I knew that they were going to be doing something cool, and I meant to watch that today because it dropped at 9 o'clock this morning, right? And I got the announcement at 9 o'clock this morning, and I'm like, shit, I'm in a meeting. Like, Career Steve cannot be watching Audi reckless videos, you know. And I honestly didn't. I thought about it again at like 2 o'clock in the middle of another meeting, and then I thought about it at like 4:30 in the middle of another meeting, and then I got off work some round after that, and I got home, and I was like, "Hey Heidi, let's you know handle household stuff," and then I've got to jump on this thing, and I did not have time to watch it,
Oh,
and
bro.
and I'm kind of bummed. So I'm glad you remind me. We will connect back with this next week. Everybody, go watch the release of the electric unicorn because or whatever they call. I don't even know what they call it technically,
They're
but
calling it the Hunatron. Yo, do you want to
Hunatron.
just
So
turn it
for
on and do?
Audi 8 e-tron, right?
Do you want to just shut our? We'll finish up this upload. We'll come back on and do a. We'll hit play and do a reaction video to it and watch it together. Or is that a waste of 15 minutes of your life?
I won't say that it's a waste of 15 minutes of my life. I would. You've just stumbled across another tangent thing of mine. And the fact that you would suggest we do it on the podcast is the reason we should end this podcast today, right now. Everybody, go watch the new Hunatron video. It looks to be amazing. Jack and I will definitely watch it while you're not watching it with us, and we will catch up about it next week. Thanks for joining us. This is Real Talk Vlogs. I am Steve. That is Jack. We will be back with you every Friday at 12:01 in the morning because we love you guys and you deserve the best possible commute possible.
Thanks for
Love you,
watching,
peace,
guys.
bye.
We're outie. Peace. Bye. Bye, Steve.
Bye, buddy.